I have never been afraid to make massive change in my life, and it's always worked for my benefit. You feel a calling that you need to do something bigger than what you're doing.
Meet Susan Malzoni. She is an American businesswoman, certified naturopathy practitioner, author, and entrepreneur. She is the founder and CEO of Vitamina.
How important has it been to you to be able to balance the dynamic between being in the spotlight versus protecting your energy in your private life?
I don't want to live forever. I just want to live a good quality life. You know, I want to live healthy.
All of success starts with a decision.
Typically in the past, most medicines, most treatments and protocols for your health in general have been tested on men and not on women.
Was there a precise moment for you when you sort of pivoted and said, I want to focus more on creating my own brand now?
I've always been a very resilient person. I've always taken loss and turned it into something positive.
Susan, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate it. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here. You're here right now.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Susan, before you became Susan Malzoni, tell us about who Susan Heron was.
Ah, good. You pronounced it well.
Yes.
Well, I've had a really diverse background. I lived in Wisconsin, grew up in Wisconsin, one of 5 children, and I moved at 18 to Venezuela. Went to school there, studied education, learned Spanish from watching telenovelas, got married, had my children there. And then when Chavez took power, we left, I think that was in 1999, I believe, right after he took power. I lived through the whole coup and all of that political unrest. It was really traumatic for a little girl from Wisconsin to see all of that. I moved then to Florida, and unfortunately, my husband and I divorced, and then I started my career in marketing. And I worked for an advertising and marketing agency, and then later started my own, which went very well. I sold it and then I worked for a large company called World Media. And then different turns of events happened. I met my husband, Victor, and we got married, and I lived half the time in Florida and half the time in Brazil. We had a common passion for dogs, so that would lead us into probably the next segment of our conversation. But before I became Susan Malzoni, I was Susan Heron with a very interesting past.
And, obviously you mentioned where you grew up with respect to your Latina background. What did family mean to you in terms of how you were raised?
Well, family, we were a very tight family. 5 children. My parents were Catholic, and, we had a very traditional upbringing. Dinner time was at 6 every day. Even though I was the youngest of 5, I didn't get that much time with my siblings because they were much older than I was. But I just had a really, really beautiful upbringing with my parents and my family.
And I know with respect to one of your companies, your brother actually is involved.
No, actually, my son.
Your son's involved.
That is my son.
That's
he looks like he could be my brother. He looks older. I had my kids when I was young, but yeah, he runs the finances of my company.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's very smart.
That's excellent. And it's a great thing when you can essentially have the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Right? You have people you're close to, people you love dearly, also involved in your businesses. Was there ever a moment, just in general, perhaps, if you can take us back to that time, or even if you want to fast forward that a little bit, but was there a point in time when you believed, you know what, I think I want different things. I just feel I want different things. I'm a different type of person. I don't do well just conforming. Did you ever feel that?
Well, I definitely felt that when I was 18 and I left Wisconsin for South America. All of my friends thought I was crazy. They're like, how could you possibly go there? You don't speak Spanish. You don't, it was a big adventurous move on my part. So yeah, at many times in my life, I have felt like maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I have a bigger purpose in life. Let me try something else. And I did. I have never been afraid to make massive change in my life. And it's always worked for my benefit and for my children's benefit.
Yeah, I can relate. Oftentimes I find myself saying, maybe I'm not even from this planet.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that a lot of the
Right?
time, actually.
Yeah, because sometimes I just say, is it me? Why do I feel like I don't quite feel like this is where I belong? Maybe I'm not, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But I think that speaks to the manner in which we are constantly pursuing success.
Right.
Right? We're just not happy with being complacent. We need
Mediocre.
to feel, absolutely, we need to feel progress, and we're doing the right thing, serving, a bigger purpose.
Yeah,
so
the
to
higher
speak.
good.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think there's a pureness in that.
For sure.
There's a pureness in that.
I think those moments when you do feel unsettled, like you need to go somewhere else, it's because someone's telling you you have something else to do that maybe is not in that spot. Maybe it's another country or another industry or another, city. I don't know. You feel a calling that you need to do something bigger than what you're doing.
Absolutely. Now, and you touched on this a little bit, but you've been in the spotlight in many respects.
Right.
How important has it been to you to be able to balance the dynamic between being in the spotlight versus protecting your energy in your private life?
Well, that's always a challenge, but I do have ways that I do protect my energy. I really do try to stay away from people who I know don't have my best interest in mind. There's quite a few, but there's moments when I have to be around them. So I just kind of, I have my own little routines of clearing my own energy after I leave an environment like that. And I'm very intuitive, so I pick up on people's energy. If it's not good, I, immediately go home and I do my little rituals and talk to a higher force and just kind of ground myself.
Maybe some sage.
And maybe a little sage if they've been in my house, for sure.
Absolutely. We do that regularly in the home.
Oh, you do?
Absolutely.
Not Palo Santo?
Yes, absolutely. Especially if there's been someone, in the home that, kind of like what you spoke to, that just that negative energy.
Right.
As soon as the person's gone, we're saging.
Exactly.
We're saging. Or sometimes even if you don't have a physical presence there, sometimes you feel something more on a spiritual level. Right? There's just something just doesn't feel right now.
Time to cleanse.
Time to cleanse. Let's open up the windows and just release that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's important to do that. You spent years selling other people's brands. Was there a precise moment for you when you sort of pivoted and said, I want to focus more on creating my own brand now?
There was actually. It was kind of out of, all things happen for a reason, I believe, in life. And I had an unfortunate accident, and I was kind of homebound for a few months. And I said, this is like a great opportunity for me to focus on what I've wanted to do, is create something that I feel passionate about. Many times I marketed other people's products in my business I usually tried to only market things that I really liked, but sometimes I couldn't, especially when I worked for other people's agencies. But I wanted to feel proud of something that I knew was clean, good for you. I've always been about, promoting health and wellness. So, to create something that was going to change people's lives, like the vitamins that I'm not doing those vitamins anymore, but it did change a lot of people's lives. It was an easy way for people to take vitamins. And that's how I started Vitamina. So it was really out of I was stuck at home and I said, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to create it. Obviously, this all happened for a reason. It's made me sit here and figure it out. And I did it. I created the company in record time, and it was very successful.
The supplement industry it's a huge industry. I think it's something like a $70 billion industry. But what's interesting in terms of statistics, I think it's about 75% of Americans are now taking some form of a supplement. Mm-hmm. But interestingly enough, only approximately 30% of them are actually confident in the representations made by the product in and of itself.
Right.
That being said, and I know this is important to you, how are you distinguishing your product from the other products?
Well, I can tell you it's a very unregulated industry. It's kind of the wild, wild west. So what I did with my company is I actually purchased in bulk from other manufacturers that were really had all of the certifications. They were really the top 10 legitimate companies. Because there's thousands and tens of, maybe, I don't even know how many vitamin companies are out there right now, but only very few have all the certifications that show purity, that they actually work. So what I did is I sourced those and I packaged them. I packaged them in daily packs, which were super convenient. So you could go onto my website, pull a drop-down menu, and pick the supplements you wanted. And you would get a box with 30 sachets for the week, for the month, with the vitamins you take daily. So it was a daily pack. It was super convenient. You could put it in your handbag, you could put it in your briefcase and take it. It was all very, very high quality and at a very inexpensive price. I mean, my vitamin packs were probably a fourth of the price that if you were to bought all of those really name brands individually. Not to mention the ecological disaster of plastic. I had very little plastic.
I'm glad you brought that up because for those who want to be conscious, right? We just don't want to pop pills.
Right.
We want to believe
Exactly.
that what's being represented to us is true and is going to be impactful.
And it's healthy not only for you, but for the environment. And it was.
Right.
I am now reformulating because there's an interesting fact. When you said 30%, I thought you were going to talk about the amount of people who could actually swallow pills. Only 33% of the population can swallow vitamins. So that leaves a huge market of people, which are usually older or younger. And those are the people who many times need it the most. So right now I'm working on, I'm formulating liquid vitamins, spray vitamins. So it'll be much easier, to administer for older people who can't swallow and younger people. So
interesting about that. Just to circle back quickly, one thing that stands out, and I think this is an ability that a lot of people don't have, and that is the ability to make a decision.
Right.
So when I was asking you, was there some sort of a pivotal moment in your life, a turning point, if you will, and you ultimately said, well, I decided to do this, this, and that.
Right.
So many people don't realize that all of success, I don't care how you look at it, all of success starts with a decision.
That's good.
And you've done that.
Yep.
You've identified if it's a gap, if it's a problem, if it's something that needs to be solved, you're doing that. And just like you said, hey, 30% of people can't swallow pills. It's like, right.
Pivot into something that will be more useful.
Exactly.
It was the same thing. I mean, the reason the concept of the vitamins and daily packs came out of the fact that I travel so much. And it was, I would spend the night before, taking my bottles and making little piles, for the 12 or 14 days I'd be gone, and then putting them in little Ziploc bags. And I thought, why is this like that? There was really a need for that. So at the time there was a need. I did it. There was an unfortunate turn of events when my husband passed away. Decided not to continue on with that manufacturer that was helping with the packaging. So I said, let me just pivot. This is the right moment to do that and go into liquid vitamins, spray vitamins is what I really ultimately wanted to do anyway. Yeah,
that's incredible. And what just came to me now, I don't know what the age requirement is on your specific product, but it would also be fantastic for children.
Of course, it is. And it is. There is no, it's per spray. So if an adult would get 6 sprays in their mouth, a child would get 1 or 2 based on their weight. So it is all going to be, laid out on the instructions. But it tastes good. People who don't like the taste of vitamins or don't like the after, these don't have any of that. Right. They're very bioavailable. So it's going to be great.
I love that. Now, tell us, what does it mean to be a certified, is it naturopathic practitioner? Mm-hmm. And what would you say to anyone who may be, let's call it, somewhat skeptical about the title, because people don't know.
Right. It's the study of natural medicine. So I studied actual, conventional medicine, Western medicine. I didn't finish, but I decided to go into more of an alternative. I always thought that we should not be looking at medicine or illness in one direction. It needs to be looked at from all angles and how to fix the problems that people have. Many people take so many prescription pills, and it's really not necessary. Yeah. There's ways to get to the root of the problem and fix it naturally. So I decided to take that route. I've been very successful with that. I've helped a lot of my friends. I don't charge for it. People call me and they say, I have, this problem. Can you help me? And, I may not be able to find the solution at that moment, but I think about it and I work on it. I have a network of great practitioners as well, and we talk about it. And we usually find some solutions to help them.
I'm so glad you're doing that. I think part of the problem is our reliance upon the medical industry.
Right.
We assume that if we aren't feeling well and we go to urgent care or an emergency room, we assume what the doctors are giving us is going to not only help us, but actually, if there's a cure for it, cure it, right? As opposed to just focusing on treatment. Because we all know, with respect to the medical industry, the money is in the treatment, not the cure.
The money's in the long term.
Long term, right?
Long term.
Absolutely. They, for the most part, they are, they can lose billions, if not trillions of dollars time after time again. And so, my mother-in-law just recently passed away from cancer. And
sorry.
Yeah, thank you. And so we were trying to find, other alternatives. And when we would come up with questions for the doctors that were treating her, questions that deviated from the standard, medical treatments in the industry, you can see it on their faces. Yeah. The doctors, they were threatened by it. They did not like it at all. And I can sit here and say, we just couldn't understand. We understand why.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because before they become doctors, they take an oath, right? And you have to ask, well, are you really, really practicing in a manner that's consistent with that oath you took?
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, they're consistent in practicing with the oath they take to Big Pharma, the oath they take to insurance companies, and the oath they take to the companies that protect them from, lawsuits. So I can understand their position. I'm really hopeful that this administration kind of changes that. With some of the things Secretary Kennedy is doing, he's, incorporating nutritional, education into standard of care, in standard medical schools, which, believe it or not, was never part of the curriculum, nutrition. I mean, you would think that is the foundation for someone's health is nutrition, and it was never being taught. They never taught doctors about the risks of vaccines and grouping them together like these, they have the mixed vaccines that sometimes can be overwhelming for certain kids. Certain kids who have genetic mutations should not be taking certain vaccines, or at least so close together. Medicine is so it's so individualized. You can't make these rules like these vaccine schedules and expect that everyone should follow suit. You as a parent should be given the information. I tell everyone who has a baby, go get a swab and see if your child has a mutation on their MTHFR gene, because if they do, they should probably not follow the vaccine schedule.
That's so interesting. Yeah. This is the first time I'm hearing of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I found that out myself, unfortunately. My mother was a nutritionist. So I grew up in a home where my mother baked sprouted bread and we only drank Mountain Valley water and everything was really natural and holistic. And I followed that. But I was never vaccinated as a child. And we had a family doctor who, I don't know how he got me through school. I went to Catholic school, so I guess it wasn't so strict back then. But I learned all of this when I got a vaccine for the first time, and I had to get a yellow fever vaccine. I was traveling to Africa, and I got deathly sick. Like, I thought I was paralyzed. I got Guillain-Barré. Half of my face was somewhat paralyzed. I had tingling down my arms and legs. It was really serious. And I had thought it was from something else. I never equated the two things. But then I did a really deep dive into it, and I realized that vaccine can really make you very sick.
Yeah.
And I did my genetic testing, and I saw I had a double mutation on my MTHFR gene. And then I found doctors who knew about this. And I said, how is I'm a very, intelligent person going to the best doctors, and no one has ever told me that I should never get a vaccine, or at least I should be cautioned about it or do my research. And he said, that's just the way it is. So then I met Bobby Kennedy, who was working on that at the time. And he taught me all about the risks of vaccines, especially if you have some genetic mutations. So I've taken all that information. I share it when I can to people who have young kids or, COVID is when it really started to come out about the risks of vaccines. But, we were all kind of shut down at the time because no one wanted to talk about that. But, I suggest everyone does their research. I suggest everyone gets the MTHFR gene genetic, the test to see if you have the mutation, and then proceed with caution.
Incredible. And, this is one of the reasons why I love these types of exchanges, because they're so informative.
Right.
People don't know. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Admittedly, I didn't know. And that's what it's all about. It's about just having a thirst for knowledge and not being afraid to ask questions. Right. Speaking of Bobby Kennedy, you were recently named the ambassador for women's health, just recently, about 1, maybe 2 months ago.
That's right.
That is huge. Congratulations to you. Please tell us about that.
Well, he asked me to put on the National Conference for Women's Health. It was the first time ever hosted by the Department of Health and Human Services. It was a great opportunity to focus on women's health for a change, because it's not that we have been ignored, but we typically in the past, most medicines, most treatments and protocols for your health in general have been tested on men and not on women. So it's just, if it works for a man, then it's probably going to work for women. But women's biology, as you know, is very different. So I think this administration under Secretary Kennedy, he's really trying to highlight the differences in women and men's health and focus on women's health for the first time. So I was asked to do this conference. We got together some amazing speakers. It was a 2-day event in Washington. It was extremely successful, and one of his colleagues in his department, chose some ambassadors, and they named me, and I'm very proud to hold that title.
Congratulations to you. What's up next for that?
I don't know. Lots of things.
Well, with respect to
that
your role in that, yeah,
it's actually a year, just for a year term.
Okay.
What I plan on doing is creating a lot of content. So this is great to try to educate women on proactive steps they can take to improve their health, just to educate people, actually, and particularly women, because I'm a woman, and I think oftentimes women are dismissed when they go to the emergency room saying, oh, you're just stressed, you have anxiety, you have this one. In fact, I'm also a national volunteer for the American Heart Association. So that has taught me a lot about women, and, cardiovascular is one of the it is the number one cause of death for women. And that's often not known either. Men you think of men having heart attacks, you don't think of women. And many times women go to the emergency room and they're kind of, dismissed and say, just go home, you're stressed or something else. And they're actually having a heart attack or close to it. So I just want to bring awareness to that, particularly cardiovascular health, because my mother died of a heart attack. My husband died of a heart attack. So it's a very close topic for me.
Yeah, you mentioned the key word, which is awareness. So I walk a lot, for example. I work out a lot, but I walk a lot as well. And I recently posted something. It was just something simple, like on a story, making people aware of how important it is to just do something as simple as walking, and how it decreases the likelihood of you having some sort of cardiovascular issue, I think by like 40% or something like that. It's like the numbers are crazy. It's just walking.
I know.
I tell people, just walk.
Well, we were created to walk. I mean, we are on 2 feet, not 4. We are meant to walk. And most people don't walk anymore. Everything has become so easy to take an Uber, to do this. I make it a point to walk when I can. Yeah. I was a little late this morning, so I didn't get to walk here, but I will walk home. I do walk about a half an hour a day religiously. Yeah. And it's not even an option. I do it even in the heat of Florida in summer. I do it. Right. So it's very important.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's a form of meditation for me as well, because I meditate, regularly at home. But then as I'm walking, I'll do that some more.
Great.
And just
what kind of meditation do you do?
So I like doing guided meditation.
Who do you go?
Yeah, no one specifically. I just find language that works for me. It could depend on the mood I'm in. Sometimes I'll use nothing.
Oh.
And I'll just do a more kind of like a nature-focused meditation, where as I'm walking, I'm focusing a lot on trees or birds and things of that nature. Just taking it all in and just appreciating the simplicities, in life. Because it's easy for us to get caught up.
I know.
Right? We're ripping and running.
And you live here, so it's a little harder to do that here than nature.
Yeah, I'm up in Rockland County.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So I'm about 40 minutes north from here.
Perfect.
So it is a different environment. I'm born and raised in the city, so I understand what those dynamics are.
Right.
And you're right. To your point, it's much more difficult. But I try to do that as often as possible.
So have you heard of Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Of course.
Okay, he's a very good friend of mine.
Is he?
Very.
Oh, we're going to be talking after this.
Okay. Yeah, he's a dear friend. So I've been doing his work for a long time. It saved me so much pain and suffering. He's just an incredible human and has really made so much difference in the world and in people.
You know what? That speaks to the importance of the right proximity.
Yeah.
Right? And kind of touches on what we touched on very briefly, and that is protecting our energy, being around the right people who are going to enhance, facilitate, and ameliorate our existence here on this planet.
Right. Well, he's one of those people.
Yes.
He has made a huge difference in so many people's lives. Many.
That's fantastic. And I follow him, obviously. He's, very well known.
Yeah.
But that's fantastic. So I know with respect to what you do, I'm sure you've come across the term longevity, right?
Yeah.
That's like a thing now. I think we're heading in the right direction, but it's also important that we keep in mind, we want to do this in a manner that's consistent with making it affordable for everyone. And what I'm finding is that a lot of the non-traditional mechanisms by which we're trying to make people more healthy, more health conscious, longevity, it's really expensive for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, longevity is like this key, this term they're using now to describe what is really just sort of an elite protocol for certain people.
Yeah.
It's probably 10% of the United States could afford to do a lot of the things they're saying. Peptides are extremely expensive. Peptides are one of them. I've been using peptides for a long time. I'm actually starting to not use them because I'm actually worried that it's gotten, I don't think the sourcing of the peptides is really, there's no regulation right now. And hopefully with these new policies coming in place in the government, there will be more regulation. But we could be sourcing these things from China and countries that don't have the same regulations that we do. And it could actually be causing a lot of harm. So peptides, I caution people on. I'm a fan of them, but I caution the sourcing of them. Only get them from legitimate doctors. Do not buy anything online that you have no idea where it comes from. That too is an industry that's a little bit of a wild, wild west right now. So we have not been using them long term enough to really get any concrete data. Right. So I would just caution, any person who's trying peptides to get them from a really legitimate doctor.
No, that's a great point. And people, unfortunately, they go by what they see other people doing and automatically
on social media,
right? And they think people on social media are all doctors now. And it's like, no, do your research.
They're not.
Your due diligence.
Right. Well, there's a lot of other protocols that are really good for longevity. I just prefer, I don't want to live forever. I just want to live a good quality life. I want to live healthy. And if you want to coin that longevity, maybe I just want to live a very healthy life. So I try to do the right things without going to extremes. I think a lot of people are going to the extremes on things. You can't even go to a restaurant. Some of my friends, I'm not going to name them, but they will come into a restaurant and ask where every item that's in their food is coming from. Like, is this wild caught from, but what part of the world is it wild caught? And what kind of salt do you use? And is that seed oil or is that, and I'm like, oh, so it destroys your enjoyment of life. And that actually has a really negative effect on longevity.
Great point.
So you have to kind of balance it out. Sitting in a hyperbaric chamber, love it. Can you do it every single day for a month, which was the only way you have any kind of effect from it? Not many people can commit to 2 hours a day, and it's extremely expensive. Yeah. There's a lot of things I like but I don't do.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I think we need balance.
Yeah, we do.
need balance. We can have awareness and be conscious of things. But to your point, if we're doing it to the extent that it's just consuming our lives.
What's ruining the joy?
You're ruining the joy. And it becomes sort of this antithetical approach at that point to what you're really trying to accomplish.
Right.
Right. So it doesn't make much sense. And that would probably drive me crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So it does me. I started when I was living in California, and I started down that path a little bit because everyone around me was doing it. And I was like, so is this, full, I don't know, is your cilantro organic or non-organic? And then I thought, what have I turned into? I can't be this person. So you just have to control what you can control and just enjoy it. If I know that it maybe not the best, cleanest thing, I'll just tell myself, this is wonderful food, and just tell my body. Because I think what you tell your body is really what it listens. It listens to what you say. So if you say, this is great, it tasted so good. It may have a lot of calories and a lot of fat, but it really was good for me.
Right.
And I think your body believes it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you were part of a guest that I should say at a very famous and important gala. I'll let you speak on that. But what's interesting for me is that it's presumably it's a very public and I'll say even politically charging setting to some extent, right? I'll let you explain for the listeners and viewers what the gala is, what it's about.
I'm not sure what gala.
Oh, the Mar-a-Lago one.
Oh, I've done that a lot.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm on the board of a wonderful, amazing organization called Big Dog Ranch Rescue. Right. It was founded by an incredible person named Lori Simmons. She has a passion for dogs, helping dogs. She's just extraordinary. So I agreed to be on the board maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I came from California. And every year we hold fundraisers, very famous ones. It's called Wine, Women, and Shoes. And I chaired the one that, not this year, the year before. You're only allowed to chair it once. And I got to do it 2 years ago. And we had some very famous guests come on stage. Donald Trump came up and Elon Musk came up with his little boy and, charged up all of the audience and asked them to donate. And, they've been very generous, the Trump family, in helping us with fundraising. So they give us Mar-a-Lago to use. We come with 2,000 women over a 2 or 3 day period. So basically he gives up his house for us, allows us to bring all these dogs on property, which, that's a big thing, and helps us raise money for this amazing organization.
Right. That's great. And obviously there's tons and tons of pet and animal lovers out there. So, the people who watch this podcast, they know this is not a politically based
Absolutely
podcast.
Not.
But your mission is great. And so that's why I think it's important.
Right. Our rescue is in Palm Beach County, and there's very few venues that could, accommodate us. And they have been generous in offering their venue, Mar-a-Lago. And Mar-a-Lago is Donald Trump's home. So he's been very generous in providing that venue to us. There's not, I don't think any other venue in Palm Beach County would have given us that opportunity, would have allowed us to bring all those animals on property. So we're very grateful for that. And a lot of people, we get, half the country of women want to come and the other half don't want to come. And it's sad because it's really a nonpartisan event. It's really to help dogs. And it's sad when people say, well, I won't go to that event because it's at Mar-a-Lago. But I mean, you're doing it for the dogs. You're not doing it because you like Donald Trump, because a lot of people don't like him. And I respect that.
Right. And you know what? The truth is, irrespective of what your political affiliation is, you have to be mature enough at times in life to be able to separate what you feel emotionally about a person from the greater cause behind the mission. Yeah. Exactly. Unfortunately, some people are not able to do that. But it's their loss. That's how I look at it. Just for me to highlight really quick, some individuals may not know what the Mar-a-Lago Gala is. So just to highlight it, essentially, it's actually a series. A very high profile black tie, often invitation only events hosted by Donald Trump, right? So it's not just one thing. I just felt it was important for viewers and listeners to know that. But with respect to what you're doing, that's a great thing.
Right. Well, we are our organization. It's usually the only time I go to Mar-a-Lago is to do one of our events, and because he generously offers the venue for us. We do one called Bark Bash, and that's in December. That's a men and women event at night. Black tie. We raise a lot of money for the dogs that night. And then we do the 2 or 3 day event in March, first week of March. That's Wine, Women, and Shoes. And it's a daytime event. Women get all dressed up in their, flower dresses. And they come, and it's a very sought after ticket to get. You have to be on a list to get it. And they sell out within 5 minutes. And we raise a lot of money for the dogs.
Love that. I love that.
We've placed over 90,000 dogs in homes. 90,000.
That's a lot.
And we have 1,000 dogs at all times on our property in Palm Beach County, West Palm Beach. So it's a really amazing mission, amazing organization. We have so many volunteers and people who help us. We just recently rescued 1,500 beagles from a testing facility. I can't say which one, but I can tell you it was the first time these dogs have ever seen the light of day. They've been in enclosures their entire life, never touched grass, never received affection from anyone.
Why beagles? Do you know?
They're the most forgiving of dog breeds.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Because if you were, probed and hurt repeatedly, you would probably bite if someone came close to you. But beagles don't do that. So that's why it's usually beagles. It's so sad.
Wow. I had started doing years ago when I was looking to buy a dog. I was doing some research on beagles. I almost purchased one. I didn't do it because I think they said they're very high energy.
Yeah.
I'm mistaken, right?
Yeah,
and
they have a lot of energy, and they're scent hounds. If they get a scent in the air of some animal or something, they will try to escape.
Right.
So you have to have a really locked down yard, and definitely a tracking collar. All the dogs that we have at our facility now that are being adopted out, we actually only took about 500. The other 1,000 we put in different partner rescues. But the 500 that we did take, or 400 and something, they all have tracking collars on them. So when they're adopted out, God forbid they do get out of their fenced yard, at least we can track them. We had one false alarm the other day, which we thought one of the dogs we adopted out got away and was eaten by an alligator. It turned out it was not our dog. It was another beagle, unfortunately. But I encourage everyone with sight hounds to get a tracking device on their dog, because that genre of dog does run. They smell something and they run.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Well, thank you for doing that. Absolutely.
Of course. And we're about to get the remainder of the beagles out of that testing facility. So that facility will be officially closed down this summer.
Just out of curiosity, are the owners or operators of that facility also being criminally charged?
Well, they have some violations that we're not allowed to talk about, but they're closing down. That's all that matters.
Well, that's good enough for now.
Exactly. And the dogs are all going to loving homes, which is that was all about. And it's really shocking to me that, I've been telling people about what we did because it was all over the news. I don't know if you didn't see it. It was like Lester Holt. I mean, every news outlet covered this story about the dogs, the beagles getting freed. But it's shocking to me that people still don't know that that's going on in this country, that they're using beagles to test poison, torturing them literally every day. And part of our taxpayer money is going to that.
So are they breeding the dogs as well?
Wow. They breed them. They sell them to universities to experiment on. I can't tell you because it's really graphic, but they will take the dog's vocal cords out without anesthesia, literally rip them out so they can't cry and bark. They are tortured daily with, I'll say it, Lysol. They will put a mask on them and make them breathe it in until they die to see how long it takes. That's happening right now every day in this country. And in this state, in New York, it's happening at a facility here. There's about over 20,000 dogs at. 20,000.
Goodness. Is there any video footage of any of this?
There is.
If there is, of course, I would imagine it's, it's...
There is. And it's one of these dark truths that no one talks about in our country because it's too graphic or upsetting for people to even comprehend.
That is.
But it needs to end.
Yeah.
Dog testing needs to end in this
terrible.
country.
I had no idea.
I know. A lot of people don't, and they don't even want to talk about it, but it needs to be, so I'm happy to be here to talk about it so that people can understand and write to to their state, their leaders in their states, asking them to please put pressure on government to stop this. It's an antiquated thing. It doesn't need to happen with AI and all these other ways of testing things. We have enough data to know if there's a toxic element in something, you just put a large warning on, a warning tag. Like, why do we need to submit? We know Lysol kills. We know it can, if you breathe it in, something bad's going to happen to you. So just put a big warning label on it. You don't need to torture a dog.
Wow. Terrible.
Yeah.
If I may pivot.
Sure.
You lost your husband, Victor, I think it was about 2 years ago, right. coming up on 2 years ago. The two of you shared an amazing life from what I have seen.
Yes, we did.
Tell us, what did he mean to you on a more personal level?
We had so many shared interests, common passions, like with dogs. He was an extraordinary dog lover. And, that was really what brought us together, honestly. But he was just a really kind person. He had empathy for people, especially dogs. So we shared that a lot. We shared a lot of common interests together.
Yeah. And so obviously September of 2024.
Right.
Right. That changed everything for you for the most part in an instant. Obviously there's a time period people are grieving. But if I may, what has grief taught you that all of the success you had either individually or collectively was never able to teach you?
Well, I think grief, I have a really different way of looking at loss. I also lost a son when he was 18.
Sorry.
So that is a loss. That's a grieving you really kind of never, it never really goes away. But I have a different perspective of death than probably a lot of people, probably because of my work with Dr. Joe Dispenza. Just understanding about energy and, the people we love are still around us. Grief has taught me a lot about appreciating those people around you, what you have around you, just the small things. It's also taught me it also really showed me who are your really good friends and who aren't. When you have a certain lifestyle and that changes a little bit, sometimes you realize the people who are in your life weren't necessarily there for the right reasons. And I also got to see, the ugly side of in the probate and people around that, when someone dies and there's uncertainty about things, you see the true colors of even family members. So that was kind of a big eye opener for me.
It's true. And I told you we just recently lost your mother-in-law, and there was some of that.
Yeah.
There was definitely some of that. Some, ugly things come out of people.
They
and you wonder why.
Right.
You often say to yourself, well, I would think that under these circumstances, it would change a person for the better, maybe, and put things in perspective in terms of the urgency behind trying to really appreciate each other. But for whatever reason, people just go the opposite direction.
I know.
And the worst part of people can come out.
Yes.
During those times.
Right.
And it makes it even more difficult. But
well, that's what it kind of squashes your grief. Yeah. It turns grief into, you go into fight or flight mode, especially when someone's trying to do something harmful to you when you're vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So that's when you get to see who your true friends are, who come together to help support you, just to provide you just emotional support. And the ones who don't want to get involved, aren't really your friends. So
yeah. How much did faith mean to you during that time?
It meant a lot. I mean, without faith, you really I mean, for me, I believe in God. I believe in a higher power in the universe. And for me, I think that kept me grounded in knowing that all things are working for my best interest. I do truly believe that even when adversity strikes, there's something good that has to come out of that.
Yeah.
So I think anytime I have these, really tragic moments, and I've had more than one, I feel like there's something good is going to come out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. There's an interesting statistic. Bear with me with the statistic, and
Okay.
I'm going to get to why I'm bringing it up. But according to the Harvard School of Public Health, research on they call it the widowhood effect, show that within the first 6 months of the woman losing her husband, women face 61% greater odds of death than when married. Now, here's why I'm bringing this up. Not to, suggest anything with respect to depression or anything like that. But I'm bringing this up because, first of all, I think that happens because they're consumed by the grief and they can't get around that, right? But the reason I brought that up is because your story is ironic with respect to how we look at that statistic. Because ironically, within 6 months after losing Victor, within 6 months, which is right on par with that statistic, you instead, or conversely, I should say, you stood in front of more than 1,000 people to raise money for rescue dogs.
That's right.
So you have some women who are facing within 6 months of losing their husband this, relatively high statistic, right?
Yeah,
Who, they deal with it a different way and they become part of that statistic. But what you've done, and I thank you for doing that,
of course,
is you found the strength somehow to go against the grain, so to speak, in terms of that statistic, and turn your grief into something beautiful.
That's true.
Into a mission. Isn't that something?
It is. It is. And it's, I've always been a very resilient person. I've always taken loss and turned it into something positive. And I think in Victor's legacy, that was the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Is there anything you wish you had said to him, or something you wish you had done that you can't?
Well, we always have those things. Yeah. I speak to him all the time, and I know he hears me. So all the things that I should have said, I've said to him, and I know he's heard me. So I don't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets, and I don't have anything that I wish I would have said or done on this earth that I haven't already done with him, around me.
Yeah. Well, Susan, I'll say this. I know that if the two of you were to have another conversation, he would tell you he's absolutely proud of you.
Thank you.
And that you're doing amazing things.
Thank you.
You're a great person, amazing person. And the mission you're on is really, really a part of his legacy as well. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Susan, for anyone who wants to be a part of your mission or they want to learn more, whether it's respect to your supplement product or your mission with respect to rescue dogs, anything you're doing, how can people find you?
Well, you can find me always advocating for women's health. I'm going to be creating a lot of content, so you can go to my Instagram page at Susan Malzoni, or Vitamina, my company. So you'll find videos there. Also, the American Heart Association, if you want to donate there, it's a group that I am very passionate about. They do a lot for women's health. Go Red for Women is a movement that I'm very involved with. Educating people on women, particularly on their cardiovascular health. And then Big Dog Ranch Rescue, which is, my passion project, and it's helping dogs. And we rely entirely on donations. So if you feel like you want to make a difference, either adopting a dog, volunteering, or just donating money or coming to one of our events, I suggest you go to the Big Dog Ranch Rescue website or their social media, follow them and make a donation.
We're going to make sure we include all of your information
Thank you.
And I know people are going to reach out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, Susan. I really appreciate it.
No, it was a pleasure being here.
Thank you.